My name is Mel Brown and welcome to episode 54 of my crafting podcast. This is my currently weekly vlog about knitting, crochet, spinning, yarning, weaving, anything else that seems like a good idea at the time. I am an autistic woman living in the north of England with my husband, our 3 children and 3 cats. You can find me on social media here. I think there's enough gap there for writing. And yeah, I think I must have designated today as Wear Your Handspun Day because I've got my handspun cardie, less is more, which has got some really nice hairy bits on it, and my first ever handspun in my little boomerang here. So do join me, wear your handspun. So, right, where are we? Episode 54. In case you're watching at a later date, to let you know that we are in the 4th week of lockdown here in the UK. So, rather than it being a normal working day with people at school, and mind you, it is the Easter holidays anyway, but all 5 of us, including our adult daughter, are in the house, so there will be interruptions. Look at these. I don't mean to flip you or anything, but my daughters did these for me the other night. Fried eggs. So cute. Okay, cup of tea. Right, let's get going. It's only been a week since I spoke to you last, but my goodness, what a week. 4 of those days have been the bank holiday weekend for Easter. And nothing much is happening here on a normal working day, and certainly on a bank holiday weekend. It's very quiet, so I'm getting so much stuff done. I've given you a little backdrop of our acrylic pouring efforts here, because I thought you'd enjoy that rather than the condiments tray which was there before. It's lovely sunshine today, so hopefully the lighting is good. Right, crack on with it, Mel. Okay, where are they now? What happened to the projects you've already seen? Well, for the first time since I started this podcast, the memory blanket is not on the list. Thank you, Andrea, for that. So yeah, I've been snuggling under it this last week and it has been absolutely wonderful. But on it is the Advent blanket. So let me show you my progress on that. I have got blocks 7 and 8 are done, joined, bordered and blocked, and they were neatly folded, but I will refold them. Yeah. Colours of, what's the one that really wasn't coming out? Oh, it's still not coming out. Damn it. They're just, yeah, not coming out. Doesn't matter, it's fine. So 7 and 8. I'm thinking that I thought that I wanted 12. I don't know. I'll make a decision about that when I've got a few more of them done. But so what was that? That was 6, 7 and 8. This is block 9. It's been chosen by my second daughter, pinned and partly joined, so there's just one line across here joined and the rest of it is yet to join. So that's 9 of 12. So that's coming along very well. Absolutely loving it as ever. That's all I can say about that. Starburst, which is the interlocking crochet. No, I've not done anything on that at all. Just for fun, I'm going to show you one of the squares. Nothing, haven't picked it up. Okay, number 3, skews. So last time I showed you them, I had the what the designer calls the origami moment, and I then got through the origami moment. I hope I explained that in some kind of reasonable way last time, and I finished the sock, and here it is. I will put it on the blocker when I've done them both. So yeah, as you can see, not there's always a little hole there, and that's to be expected, and you sew that up with the end. But I'm not doing that yet because that's in the way, and I measure my second sock up, and when I get to that place, then I start the next stage. So I need to keep that on. So I just do all the finishing at the end. It's all done in one piece. So there's an end at the top, an end at the bottom, and there are the two ends for the Kitchener, which is the origami moment. So that's all done, and it's beautiful. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that. She's tried it on and it fits as always. And yeah, really excited. Started the second one. No second sock syndrome with the skew. I'm just looking forward to seeing if it will pull in the same way as this. I mean, it must do, obviously, but how will it, yeah, looking forward to seeing how that happens. And I actually have a colourway name for this now. It's called Solaris. And I know that because my friend Gemma, who does the Gemma B Makes podcast, she was actually with me when I bought it at Yarndale, and she bought the same colourway. And hers has got a name on it. Don't know why I ended up with one that doesn't, but anyway, beautiful colourway of Easy Knits, which is my favourite yarn dyer, John. He's got a sausage dog called Sweep. Anyway, just a little bit stalking him on Instagram. So Solaris is the name of that colourway, and it's beautiful. So I suspect that will be done by next week, or well on the way, depending on what other exciting stuff happens here. Next, Rainbows in the Fluff. This is actually this is the knit along, so it's the Lockdown Rainbow Socks knit along. Lots of people have already finished their socks, and a couple of people have even started a second pair. That's pretty impressive. I have not. So this is it's Diamonds in the Fluff by and it's lovely. I'm not using the whole pattern as usual. I'm just using the stitch pattern, and I'm using the my own sock recipe. And I have just a quick recap of the yarns. This is a beautiful little mini from Mothy and the Squid, and the body of the foot is a rainbow mini set from Woolly Goodness Yarns. Beautiful tonal colours. Not conal, variegated. Okay, so I think we got up to about here when I spoke to you last. I needed a green for the heel, so I dyed that myself. That kind of came halfway through the green. And then, yeah, so that's the front of the sock, sorry. So there's the pattern. It's a slip stitch pattern. Do you know, it's almost exactly the same as another pattern that I've done, Starflower. I've done a couple of those. I hadn't kind of twigged it, but it is exactly the same. It's lovely. It's a free pattern. It's a really nice pattern. So after the heel, I finished off with the green, and I'm now on the yellow. And I really like the way, because quite often the yellow to green is a bit jarring, because they seem to be such different colours. But actually, because there's lots of yellows in the green, it's a really nice transition. So yeah, thinking that coming down that way, I should be, because the green starts there, so that will be the green, that will be the orange, and the red is going to come quite a bit further than the toe, and that is longer than I would normally make socks. But as I said with Don about last week, it's fine. I like long socks. So sorry, there's two of them at once. I always knit two at once unless I'm doing skew or unless I don't have an option. So it's just better for me that way. I don't have to make decisions and remember them. If I make a decision, I can make it for both of them. It's interesting where the colour change comes. At the beginning, I probably mentioned that I kind of wished I'd done a row of the orange, the purple, the new colour before I started the pattern, because I ended up slipping a stitch that was in the previous colour, was in the dark orange, dark purple. Oh my god, what's wrong with me today? But actually, I don't mind that much now. The next transition is right in the middle of the pattern, which doesn't make a difference. And the next one, the blue kind of gets slipped up into the green, which is kind of easier to transition. And that one it was right at the bottom of her. So it's interesting. I haven't fiddled with the way the transitions occur. I think at one point during the foot, I made the transition happen at the back because because there are pearl stitches at the front, and I don't like it when you change colour on a pearl. But from then on, obviously, now once we're on the leg, there's pattern on both sides. So I've actually just let the transition occur where it occurs. I'm knitting from both ends of the ball, so basically when I've just got that much left, I stop. So yeah, I'm loving it. Really enjoying it. If anybody still wants to join, there's plenty of time. I think I will do. I think I will do something as a prize for this one. So you know, everybody who's taken part, and you know me, you know, there aren't rules. If you are watching for the first time, then hello, welcome. Thank you for coming. But it doesn't really matter. So the general concept is it's rainbow socks. Started during lockdown, which across almost the entire world is happening right now. It's weird, isn't it? If things are happening like a storm or bad weather or I don't know, a political crisis or something like that, generally it's happening in one country or one region. This is the weirdest thing because it's happening all over the world. It's just really weird. Anyway, so if you fancy starting a pair of socks, or in fact anything else, I don't really care, then just post in last week's thread. Do you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do the draw. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to do that now. What a noodle I am. Right. Okay. Bit of an interruption there for me because I realised I'd forgotten to do the draw for the giveaway. Okay, so that was, where are they now? That's 4 works in progress. I don't think I'll really count the starburst because I'm not actively working on it, but I haven't decided what to do with it, and I'm almost 100% confident I will go back and make more. So yeah, no, it is a work in progress. Okay, new whips on the block. So over the weekend, I did a bit of reorganisation. I've been trying to kind of get into the spring cleaning thing. It's not normally a thing for me, but with a lot of time on my hands and the children home, I have just been feeling like I've been very, very energized. This ketogenic diet is really giving me so much energy, and I've just been wanting to make a few changes. My eldest daughter, she's 19 at uni. She came home for 5 days, and she's ending up staying for 6 months, which is a real shock to everybody. The trip she was going to go on had been cancelled. Her 3rd term at uni has been cancelled. Everything is cancelled. So all of her stuff is still at uni, and because of the lockdown, we can't go get it. So her bedroom is currently full of all my stuff because her bedroom is my kind of studio stroke office during term time, and I had the whole term 3 to clear all that out, right? And also Annie, we moved her bedrooms. That's the smallest one, the autistic one. We changed bedrooms for her, so we moved all of her stuff in boxes into Lizzie's room, and then we were going to unload it, but we just haven't. She's got so much stuff, so there's boxes and boxes in Lizzie's room, and I thought I had so much time to sort that out, but I didn't. So I wanted to get my weaving stash in particular out of Lizzie's bedroom so that when I want to go stash diving for something, I don't have to interrupt her. She's used to living independently now. She's used to being an adult. You know, she can have a shower whenever she wants. She can shut her door and nobody comes in. And it's just such a shock to the system for her to come back to living as a child. Not that we ever treat her as a child, but you know what I mean. So I wanted to just minimise that as much as possible by making it so I don't keep interrupting her. So I moved out all of my weaving stash and I sorted it according to colour, because at the moment I tend to be going for weaves of a certain colour. I think I will probably branch out and be a bit more. It's just that I'm not very good at choosing colour, so if I've got a whole colour scheme and a palette there in front of me, then I'm less likely to do something silly, particularly as with the weaving. You can't see what's before, you've only got this little window of what you can see, so I can't see that it goes with something I put before. I can't just make that up as I go along. I need to have Pip, what are you doing? Oh, there's a cat trying to climb across all these projects. I need to have it all laid out. So anyway, I'm rambling. I found quite a few bits and pieces, and I just thought, oh, I think I'll do something with that. I put all my fibre for spinning into a new box. Now she wants to go out. Can you see her? Beepy. Menace. Into one big box, and there was a load of hand spun in there, sort of yarn already made, and I hadn't really decided what to do with it all. So I found a couple of balls which I thought, they look nice together actually, and I had originally planned for the grey. The grey was this grey Corriedale I've been working my way through, and I had planned to dye that, but it looked really nice next to the bright orange that I had dyed. So I thought, you know, I'm going to start a project with those, and I did yesterday. Now Adriana, one of the people I correspond with through the podcast, she has some interesting hand spun as well, so she's going to start this as well. So anybody else wants to join us, you're very welcome to. It's called the Van Gogh shawl. Details up there. It's a free pattern and it's a slip stitch pattern, and here it is. So that's the wrong side. You can see I'm using my Knit Pro Zings. These I got for my 50th birthday in November. I can't tell you how much they add to the enjoyment of a project, having that colour there. It's one of my foibles of my autism, is I love colours, and just having a colour on my needle makes me happy. Anyway, so you can see this is definitely Corriedale. I suspect this is too, but I can't quite remember. I'm not very good at keeping records of these things. But I definitely dyed it and I definitely spun it, and it's a 2-ply, so I applied 2 together, which gives you that, in places, that kind of barber pole effect. It's like a tequila sunrise, isn't it? Anyway, fairly standard pattern. I've made something quite similar to this before. I've really got into weaving my ends in with knitting as I go along, since I watched a Stephen West video on it, and I thought, why haven't I been doing this? So they're actually woven in, I think, to trim them off. So yeah, it's a slip stitch pattern. At the beginning of these, they never look good because the edges aren't slipped to give you, the ability to do your increases and decreases. And then there's this massive slipped bit in the middle. So up here, it all looks fine because it can kind of taper nicely. But down at the bottom, it looks a bit scruffy. But that's okay. I'm enjoying it. One thing I don't particularly like is that you're carrying the yarn up the side. Now that's good, because that means you're not chopping it off and wasting all that yarn and having to run all the ends in. But I don't like the look of it, and it does give it a limitation when it's blocked, because I'm trying to make them nice and loose. They're kind of effectively floats, aren't they? So I'm trying to make them fairly loose so they're not going to stop the blocking, but at least, you can block it at this edge. And that's, once lockdown is over, I'll be hot-footing it over to Andrea's house for many reasons. 1, for hugs, 2, to cuddle the dogs, and probably to throw a load of blocking at her. This is going to be beautiful when it's blocked. I really like the way the 2 play together. I think they're perfect for each other. So that is well on the way. Yeah, really enjoying it. I have made a few modifications in that you're meant to have equal amounts of the 2 yarns, and I don't. I have about 70 grams of the orange and about 160 of the grey. So instead of 6 rows of each, I'm doing 8 rows in the grey. And I looked at this and thought it was roughly DK weight, but the pattern calls for a 5mm needle. And I started on a 5mm needle, and it was just really dense, and I didn't like it. It's got some drape now. I want it to drape, and I also want to make it go as long as possible, because I don't know if I've got enough yarn. So I just want, and of course, with blocking, it'll be even bigger. So I just want to make it the biggest I can. So I've actually gone up to an 8mm. So yeah, those are the 2 modifications: the needle size and the fact that I've added an extra pair of garter stitch rows in this section. And yeah, it's going well. I like it. I don't know who it's for as yet. I'm at the stage now where, I don't need any more shawls, and if I make something really special, then I will keep it. Otherwise, it'll go It will sit and wait for the right person to come into my life or to require a bit of love, and I will send it to them. So that is work in progress number 5. So that's my between 4 and 6, which is my sweet spot. Very happy with that. Right, next, spinning. Wow. I've been doing so much spinning, I can't even remember spinning some of the stuff that I've done. So I'm going to show it all to you. Let's have a look. If you heard of Blueprint, it's written without the E. They do online courses, and everything's free till Thursday. And it's the kind of thing that I wouldn't normally bother with because it's just videos, you know, and videos are on YouTube. But Gemma told me that they were free, so I went on, had a look, and there's a spinning art yarn class. I thought, right, it's free, let's have a go. So Sunday morning, was it Monday morning? I watched that. Oh man, it was good. It was really good. I mean, there's lots of really great stuff on YouTube, and you know how inspired I've been by the likes of Kelly Casanova and Urban Gypsy and various other wonderful people who put instructional videos on. But this was a kind of another step, and I really enjoyed it, and I do hope that I can get some more videos watched before Thursday. But it's going to do, oh excuse me, it's going to do the trick and it was meant to do, which is it's going to show likes of me that who wouldn't have committed to buy a course. It's going to make us show us the value of it, and maybe we will. I'm not involved in Blueprint at all. I'm just chatting to you because if this goes out in time, maybe you can get online and get some free courses. But yeah, I really like the tutor immediately, and it's a really good course. So I've been influenced by that, but let me show you what I've done. One of the things I found when I was rootling through was a ball of yarn that I had spun and plied, but I'd plied it really badly. I think I plied it on the drop spindle, and it was really badly plied. So I thought I'd just reply it, and I badly plied it again because, you know, double bad plying. So it's overspun. I'm still getting used to Andrea's wheel, the Magicraft Pioneer. That's my excuse anyway. So these colours, this yarn, looks a lot like some of the really early stuff I had, the early first batch. No, it wasn't no, it's too solid for that. I don't remember where it came from, but it's got some lovely colours in it. I'm going to get it up close. And as you can see, it's badly plied again. There's some underspun bits and there's some overspun bits. Sigh. Just when I think I'm getting better. But I don't care. It's a journey, and as I often say, if something's worth doing, it's worth doing poorly at first. So that was a ball of just singles I had, and I didn't have anything to ply it with, so I just plied it with cream. Now I remember that, but I don't remember where the actual original fibre came from. But they're definitely my colours, obviously, teal and purple. So there's that. Then there's something that I don't remember spinning. That's a bit worrying, isn't it? I was looking through my box because I've got something and I haven't shown it to you yet. I put it in my current box, and then it will go from there into somewhere else when I've talked to you about it. So it's obviously art yarn. It looks a bit grey, but it's actually purple. And you can see there are some really dodgy, strange bits. And there are some really pretty bits, like this bit here. So these are coils. So I can't say right now how I actually spun the original single, but I have then plied it with a thin thread, and I've just kind of coiled it round. And that's where we're at there. So there's lots of variation. I like these great big, because this is for weaving. When you get to a bit like that, you can either, I think I talked about this last time, didn't I? You can either pull it in front of a few warp threads, or you can just pull it forwards and make a feature of it. And that's what I've done. I'll show you my current weave. So yeah, I don't remember spinning it, but I like it, and there it is. What else did I do? So during this sorting through the fibre, I found some rolags that I made ages ago. Now rolags, I talked a bit about this last week, have become less important to me because I wanted to, the colours of them are just too random and whatever. But now I'm doing spinning for weaving, it's a lot different. Everything's different. So I found some rolags I'd made that were green, this sort of tealy colour. This is, oh, it's coming out nicely. And some, looks like grey, some of that grey Corriedale maybe, and maybe some white as well. So I spun them over the Easter weekend, and then I Navajo plied them. That is also known as chain plying. So you know when you make a crochet chain, and you've got your crochet chain, and then you can oh, hang on. Right. So with Navajo plying, what you're doing is you're kind of making a crochet chain. So you've got a loop around, and you just grab and you pull it through, and then you keep doing that. Now you've got two there, and you pull it again. I can't really show you with this again. It's a silly thing to try and do, but I've got it in a knot now. But basically, you're making a crochet chain, so that in fact, just from one ball, you're making a 3 ply. And then you twist those 3 plies together, and that's what happens here. So if I were to pull this apart, you would see that there are 3 plies in there. Actually, I've set it so they're kind of well stuck to each other, but anyway. So this is nice and soft. I like it. And it's, yeah, it's quite a dark. In fact, this might make its way into my neutrals weave because it is fairly dark. But yeah, I'm happy with it. It's a fairly smooth yarn. I could also knit with it. That wouldn't be, oh God, that wouldn't be at all unexpected if I knitted with it as well. But of course, it's only a small amount of it. So now next, so that the blueprint course, the first thing that she showed us was she called it extreme fibre. So basically, you get little bits of various different things. There might be locks, which I don't have. There might be silk, which I do have. There might be just comb top, which I have. I've got some various other little bits of fibres. I've got a bag of kind of odds and ends of fibre that I got from, I think, World of Wool that I visited in Huddersfield. And I just put a whole lot of that stuff together and then just try to weave it as a single. The idea is you weave it as a balanced single. And what that means is, instead of, oh, another cat wants to go out now. That's Clyde. Right. When you spin a single, quite often it's very, very twisted, and you ply it in order to bring the twist back the other way, right? So with the balanced single, you're putting not so much twist in it, so it'll actually sit on its own. It'll actually work on its own. Well, that didn't work for me. I couldn't treadle slow enough. I was too excited. And so it ended up not as a balanced single. But I then plied it with some shiny yarn, shiny thread. No, I didn't. I applied it with that lovely blue soft mohair that I've got, and I made this. So it's random, it's mad. Now let me just remind you, those of you who haven't watched before or who don't remember me saying this, it doesn't matter whether you like this or not. Don't be thinking, oh goodness, I don't like that. That's not good, is it? It's fine. It's actually fine. This is something that I've made. It's not perfect. It's a long way from being perfect, but it's usable, and I'll definitely use it in a weave. But without meaning to be rude, somebody else's approval is not required in order for me to enjoy my own crafting and making. And that's something that I talk about quite a bit. It's the same for you. Other people's approval is not required. If you're enjoying what you're doing, and the only person who needs to like it is you, and if you're making it for somebody else, then it's a good idea if they like it too. But that's all that matters. And I think sometimes we get quite caught up on whether it gets lots of Instagram likes, or whether people say, oh, I love that, or whatever, or whether people look at it and go, it doesn't matter. Oh, there's some bits that are absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. And with weaving, that can be front and centre. You know, there might be bits of this that I don't use at all, that end up in my little box for Amanda from Mooland Gifts, who takes all the odds and ends that I cut off of things and makes them into wonderful stuff. But there might be some bits that just end up in there, but there will be some bits that will end up as front and centre of a weave, and that's exciting. But yeah, it's fun, and I love doing it. I had such a wonderful morning yesterday morning, following the video, sitting down, and one of the things I did over the weekend was I arranged a craft area in the front room. The front room is quite big, and it's got a sofa in it, so that that kind of shuts off the TV area. And we've got a Wii, because the girls had trips cancelled. We've got money coming back from that. We decided, as we're stuck indoors, to get a Wii, because the smaller ones, 17 and 14-year-old ones, have been asking for a Wii. We used to have one a long time ago, so we bought a second-hand one, and we've all played together. We all play together sometimes, which is absolutely brilliant. It's only 2 remotes, but we switch between them. It's like golf or bowling. So we needed more space in there, and I needed to get my stuff out of Lizzie's room. I needed to make everything more clear. So that space behind the sofa, I made into a little craft area for me. So I've got the Magicraft wheel set up with a chair, so I don't have to sit on the sofa. It's not in front of the sofa, which is where it was before. And I put my other wheel, my Ashford Traditional, which I do need to find a new home for. Actually, I need to sort out my wheels. I've got all that behind the sofa, and I've got my own little craft area. So I sat there, watched the video, had a play with it, did some playing, and yesterday morning was just a heavenly morning. So as well as doing that, I also did this, and this is, to my mind, my best yarn yet that I've made. So I'll unskein it in a moment. So this was core spun. So I spun it, wrapped the fibre over a core, which is some yarn that it's quite strong, but I don't like it. Obviously it's not something I want to see, otherwise I wouldn't be covering it all up. But it's not so ugly that if it shows through, it's the end of the world. And then I plied it with this shiny thread, and that's what I got. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. And again, there are some bits that aren't so great, and there are some bits that are absolutely stunning. And I love it. So that's my best yet. Yeah, but I've got so much to learn, and I know that I'm sure that for some people that thought of I've got so much to learn is a bit off-putting, but actually for me, in my particular brand of autism, it's heaven to know that I'm at the bottom of the learning curve again with weaving. I've taken a few steps, but I've still got so much to learn. And with spinning art yarn, it's just amazing. So I have an Ashford Traditional, which I bought from a friend, and I am fostering a Magicraft Pioneer from Andrea. Now, she hasn't been using it, so she's not in a hurry to get it back, but I have realised that this is the wheel for me. Not specifically the Magicraft Pioneer, but the kind of wheel that has a big orifice where the stuff you're where the thread that you're weaving goes through, and has a big bobbin and flyer so that I can spin and ply big chunky yarns with big lumps on it. And that's definitely the wheel for me. So I need to start looking as soon as lockdown is over, maybe now. I need to start looking for a second-hand one of those. And then I need to find another home for my Ashford Traditional, because it's no doubt in my mind I don't need it anymore. I did that green yarn. Oh, I can't find it. The green yarn that I just Navajo plied. That I did on the Magicraft, and that's traditional spinning. It was just, fairly fine, and filled a bobbin and then Navajo plied it. So I can do regular spinning on the larger one as well. I call it an art yarn wheel, I think. So I can do regular traditional spinning on an art yarn wheel, but I can't the other way around. And I don't want to have 2 wheels. I just don't want to have that space taken up. So I need to find myself an art yarn wheel. And I maybe swap it for the traditional or sell it or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, something else that I discovered, the yarn I showed you last week that I said was my best yet, I actually preferred it before I finished it. When I set the twist, I thwacked it, which I talk about all the time, just getting it wet and whacking it on the trampoline at the moment. It's on the trampoline outside. It's much less messy than the shower. And I killed it a bit. It didn't look as nice afterwards, and so I looked for alternative ways to set the twist. And I actually Googled it, and I found out, you know, you find out these things. I haven't been on a course. I'm self-taught, as most of us are in most of our crafts. And that's only one way to set yarn, to set the twist. And the last two, these two, I actually just soaked them, and then I put them in a towel and I walked on the towel to dry it out, and then I hung them up. And the twist is set. It is nice. You kind of, in a way, slightly felting it. That bit keeps popping out at me. So the twist is set. That's fine, but I haven't killed it in the same way. So I'm really pleased with that. Right. Okay. So yes, I think that's all of the spinning. I've gone on for quite a long time. Sorry. Weaving. Okay. So when I spoke to you last week, I am pretty confident that I had, yes, I'd started the tapestry weave. I showed you a bit of it, and I was saying I wasn't really feeling it, and I was very disappointed. But I did what I said I would do, is I just frogged it, as it were. I don't know if you frog weaving, do you? Ripped it out anyway. And I decided to start a clasped weft project. And I did it, and here it is. I haven't actually wet finished it yet. So wet finishing is a bit like finishing yarn with a weave. You just kind of get it wet and just agitate it a little bit to let these two sections bond together a little bit. So here it is. It's a lot smaller than I expected it to be. Part of that is because I ran out of the navy blue, and it was too far through the piece to change colours. If it had been halfway through the piece, I could have changed this colour and kept this colour, but it was too far through. And the second bit was I just completely underestimated the waist. This is nowhere near as much. I cut off a ton. So the waist at the beginning and the end of the warp is huge. And I hadn't really noticed that because I've left the tassels on with my other pieces, because I don't know what's the future for them. So there's no point in you know, doing something now. I might want to use the tassel. It's going to be a scarf. I give it away. I want to think about the tassels and get. But if it's going to be a piece of fabric, I don't need them. But I don't want to make that decision now. So, but this one I've actually cut them off, and it made me realise, crikey, I thought this was going to be enough to be the back and front of the bag, but in fact, you know, it's only big enough for one. So I have got to start bearing in mind, if I'm going to do smaller pieces, I need to leave a lot more warp for wastage. So that's done. It's really cute, liked it, but I was looking forward to getting another weave on. So I have, you know, the first couple of art yarns I made were quite neutral colours, and I wanted to do a neutral weave. So I wasn't sure I had enough yarns, but I put together this little selection. So, and that is not even all of my neutrals. So I definitely have enough to start a weave, so I did. I have one section of the warp. I have 6 different, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different warp threads. One of them is a really interesting kind of ribbony thread, and one of them is very, very hairy. And before I had even slayed the weed, I regretted choosing this. But it's okay. I've made sure it was on the outside. It's on the left, so I can easily sort of put my hand in every time I've moved the heddle. I can put my hand in to make the shed. So for those of you who don't weave, with the heddle means that you've got each alternate yarn is either through a slot or a hole. And when you put the heddle up, the hole is down here. So the hole moves up with the heddle, but the one that's in the slot stays down here. And when you move the heddle down, the one that's in the hole moves down with the heddle, and the slot stays there. So it alternates what's up and what's down, and it makes this gap in the middle of the warp threads that you can, with alternate ones up and down, which you can pass through your yarn, and that's called the shed. So these sticky threads all stick together. They're sort of being nicely like this, and then like that. They're all stuck together. So the shed's meant to be there, I have to pull these down manually, and when it's down there, I have to pull these up manually because they're so sticky to each other. But I kind of knew that was going to happen because it looks pretty hairy and it is fairly thick. So I put it down the left-hand side, and there's only, I think there's 14 threads. and I can get in there and just pull them apart, but I have to do that for every single time I'm weaving, which is fine. And that's the only one I'm having an issue with. The ribbony one's going to be an issue later on, I think, but we'll see how that goes. So I got started on it last night, and I put in a hand spun single, and you know, like I was saying, bringing the lumpy bits to the front, I did that. I pulled them forward like that, and then wove on top of them, and I love it. I love the way it looks. I might have already put a pick in at the beginning, but I'll put one in here. So I'm already excited and loving that weave, and that's how I finished my day. Yes, I started my day with spinning art yarn, and I finished it with weaving art yarn, and it makes me so happy. I just can't tell you. So yeah, that's it. It's right at the beginning, and it's sitting there like it's like a yarn stash. It's just sitting there looking at me saying, there's so much fun wrapped up in me. You just need to come over and get it. I love it. Absolutely love it. Right. Dyeing. So the things I dyed, you know, I've already said to you, I've already dyed the yarn for the sock, and it's so lovely to be able to say, oh, I want a sort of variegated stroke tonal strong green mini. Well, I could have shopped online for that, and it would have taken a long time, and I wouldn't have got just the one on. It would have cost me quite a bit. Did it in 5 minutes. And so what else did I dye? I also decided I wanted to dye a mini that I wrapped it into a ball, and a hand wound ball, and I put it in a dye bath of green, and then I took it out and I rewrapped it the other way around, and I put it in a dye bath of purple, and I wanted to get them to meet in the middle. I did that with my first ever dyeing with my popsicles, socksicles. Did you watch that? Hashtag dye on skein. I think it's episode 2. And that was 100 grams. This was 20 grams. I thought it would be more effective. Actually, it didn't work out very well at all. There was a whole load of the purple didn't take very well. It kind of came out as almost black, and the bit in the middle wasn't coloured at all. So I took things a stage further, and I took the middle section that didn't have green speckles or the purple speckles, and I dyed it a teal. Now I'm not so sure that those all three go together, but I don't know. So it's going to start, depending on what end you start with, it's either going to start with a purple, speckly purple, get whiter and whiter, and then go straight into solid teal, and then come out of that and go into speckly green, getting stronger and stronger to almost solid green. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's a 20 gram mini. You do kind of really want it all in one project if you're going to get the whole effect of it, or I guess it's roughly, I don't know, not exactly a third or anything of each. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's there, it's just a bit of fun. And then the other thing, whilst I was dyeing the 3 colours for this and various other bits and pieces, see, I'm not very good at winding skeins. I had a yarn mop. This is something I get from Rebecca from Chemnitz. When there's dye left in the pot, she says no dye left behind, and she'll dunk a skein in it. Well, I had a skein that I'd already dunked in some blue that had some very light tones of blue in it, which was that. And I put it in the green that was left over, and I got that. Oh, I can't. No, I don't know if that was. No, that was the purple, and that was the green from the mini. And I don't know what was underneath. There must have been something light. There's something light blue underneath. Anyway, this is where it's at the moment. And you know that less is more thing. Doesn't really work for me, because for me more is more, and less is most definitely less. So is this a skein that stands up on its own, or do I need to keep it as a yarn mop and throw it into something else? I worry that if I throw it into something else, obviously I've got a sort of lilac-y section and a green section. I've got a more or less white section. I could throw that into something. That might be okay. But if I put the whole thing in, it's going to kind of muddy these colours. So I don't know. It's all a bit of an experiment for me. This is one of these wonderful reusable cable ties. that again Rebecca recommends, Chemnitz, and so you can pull it around and you're not reliant on the crossover ties to try and work out which way around it is. So I don't know, tell me what you think. Should I just stop at that? I'm not sure I'd use it, but I'm sure I can find someone else to give it to. Or should I keep it as a mop and dunk this bit in? What do you think? Let me know. Right. Okay. I think I'm going to do the giveaway now. So this was just something small I wanted to do for you guys who watch all the time. You will know. Let me just. I'm going to go get it. Right. Okay. So last week I had ordered some undyed yarn from a lovely company called undyed.net, which is part of AC Wood. And they accidentally sent me 4 extra skeins of wonderful, wonderful yarn. And when I said I would send them back, they said don't bother. So I wanted to give them all away. So the first giveaway is this one, which is last week you were asked to just comment on a independent, a small company that you would like us to support when we can. And I wrote down everybody who responded in various different threads, and I drew somebody this morning, and it was Gemma B from Gemma B Makes. And so the first skein comes to you. It's one of these beauties, and there's a hole in the back and I've been feeling it's very soft, because well, it should be soft, isn't it? So the offer was to either send you it undyed or to dye it for you. Now Gemma, you're a dyer yourself, so I'm guessing you're going to dye it. Let me know. I have your address. I will post it to you either dyed or undyed. Obviously, if you want me to dye it, you need to tell me colours as well. But as I say, I suspect you'll want to dye it yourself. So that's the first giveaway. I'm going to do the next one on Instagram. I think I'll put it on the post that I will advertise this this episode of the podcast. That's what I'll do. So excellent. So just again to remind you that there's small companies are failing right now because we aren't able to get out and do anything with them. So if you can support any small businesses who are still able to run right now, yarny businesses, dyers, whatever. And on the subject of supporting small companies, one of the people who responded was Lou Ford. I'm pretty confident she's the Lou Ford that I know. She might be a different Lou Ford, but excuse me for the crinkling. She recommended a company called Noodle Soup, a Norfolk company. So for those of you who don't know, that's in the southeast kind of England. And she said, I particularly liked this colour, thought it was very you. Well, unfortunately, that I went ahead and ordered it. And there was another one. I keep going. I keep going on about these these swaps. Last week I was calling it a giveaway. These swaps that, excuse me, that Sarah and I keep doing. Well, it's becoming a bit addictive. And I keep putting things into the bag. And I thought, okay, this is the one I got for me. It's called Petrol Green. I mean, you can see immediately it's my kind of colour, can't you? But you can't really see the depth of it. There's teal and there's green, and there's this beautiful sparkle. So it's superwash merino, nylon, and lurex. Beautiful. And then I saw this one, which is so obviously for Sarah because she loves anything sea related, and it's called Distant Seas. It's beautiful. I do love it. I want it actually, but I'm going to put it in the giveaway bag. The swap bag. So Noodle Soup yarns. I think they're quite a good price, really. It's really very soft. Oh, Luna's here. She's rubbing up against my knees. Oh, she's so adorable. I introduced you to her last week, and you've seen the other two this week. Luna. She's so lovely. I think I'm her human, which is I'm very honoured to be. So, Noodle Soup, lovely dyer. This would have been on Etsy, would have been probably. Anyway, highly recommend. Absolutely love the yarn. Super. Right. Okay. Something else that was new. A friend of mine, I haven't seen in a long time. I used to know decades ago. when our husbands used to play rugby together. Stroking the cat, sorry. And she had been meaning to send something to me for ages, and she finally did. So this is, sorry about the crinkling, a bag of fibre. Can you read what's written on there? Probably not. It says, washed and carded North Ronaldsay fleece. I've never spun North Ronaldsay before. From Orkney. So for those of you who aren't from the UK, a third cat I'll get out. Have a quick look at her. Look at her face. So beautiful. Okay, you want to go that way. There you go. Orkney is an island off the coast of Scotland. And this, just by the colour of it, I think it's been around for quite a while. I love that. I love the fact that I've got no idea where it came from. Well, I know it came from Orkney, but who's owned it in the interim? What's it been through? It's very, very sheepy. Very sheepy, as you'd expect. So it's not comb top or anything, it's just washed and carded. So that's going to be, I think I'm going to just core spin that because it will be really good to core spin, I think. Anyway, I'll show you that another time. But yeah, thank you very much, Lizzie. That's lovely. And there's one more, something new, I think. Oh yeah, this is quite amazing. So I got a package from Sarah, and we hadn't planned. Oh, that fiber's got up my nose. Oh, excuse me. We hadn't planned a swap, so I was a bit puzzled by what it was. And it was actually a load of hand spun. So some of her really early hand spun that she'd done on a drop spindle before she got a wheel. And some of them are singles, so they're just the first thread, and some of them actually plied. But she just didn't know what to do with them, and she thought I could use them for weaving. So she sent them to me. Now, the first hand spun is a bit like, can't really think of an analogy, but it's something really, really special. This is my first hand spun. It's something really, really special, and giving it away is a real big thing. And I'm going to show you these because they're just delightful. Look at this. This one is Superwash Cheviot. I never even heard of Cheviot. So that's the colourways Orbit. There were two of these. The other one is actually in my basket for the neutrals weave. I'm going to work some of that in. So that's the single. Absolutely gorgeous. And then there's red and purple. Bummed that I finished the red, yellow and orange weave before I got these, because that would have been perfect in it, wouldn't it? And then these two. Oh, absolutely beautiful. Singles with some of the gorgeous variations, some thick, some thin, some little over twisted bits. Those, I mean, imagine how lovely that little over twisted bit there would look in the front of a weave, just pulled in between, in the front of a couple of warp threads. Oh, it's just... So I just need to find the right project for these. I absolutely love them. I'm totally blown away. Really am. So I have been very spoiled this week, and I think that's all. I don't think I have anything else coming. Oh no, that's not true. I won a giveaway. Another small company based near us in West Yorkshire is Adelaide Walker. Now, I have been there before, twice, 3 times maybe. I bought fibre, I bought my loom, my wonderful Sample It loom, Ashford. I bought that from there. I've bought all kinds of bits and pieces. Really nice small company, and they did a giveaway on Instagram, and I took part and I won. So I won a voucher. Now, I've ordered a lot of undyed fibre. So I've done mostly Corriedale, which is my favourite, or half of it was that. And then another one that Andrea said I should try, which is Teeswater. And then another couple, Dorset, something, and something else. When it comes, you'll see it. So I just wanted to try out different fibres, but mainly stick with what I really love. So I've got some undyed fibre there. Might Oh, I don't know. I don't know if giving away fibre for the knit along would work because not everybody can use fibre. I will think of something. Okay, so I think that's more or less it. Just a bit of personal stuff, really. We're in week 4 of lockdown, and so many people are going through terrible hardship and terrible grief. I won't go into detail, but a member of my family has lost a parent, and not necessarily directly from COVID, we don't know, but certainly as an indirect result of what's going on. And I know what a terrible time so many people are having, and I just really, really feel for them. One of my superpowers as an autist is empathy, particularly for negative emotions. It's a well acknowledged aspect of Asperger's. We can often soak up negative emotions like a sponge, and it's very exhausting and very, very stressful. And when I watch videos, and I try to be careful about what I watch, but I have to be aware of what's going on for the rest of the world because I'm in this little bubble here. But there's so much hardship and so much grief and loss going on in the world, and yet at the same time, there is me at home, and I don't think I'd be exaggerating if I said I was living the dream, because I'm at home where I want to be with a whole load of wonderful crafts I can get on with and the time to do it because I can't work. I've got my husband here and all 3 of my daughters, which is amazing, bearing in mind one of them is an adult. And we have the space for us all to have our own room to spread out. We've got gardens front and back. They're not big, but there's space. And we've got a lovely quiet village we can walk in. We're allowed to walk once a day. And we generally go together, 2, 3, or even 5 of us all walk together. And there's enough space that we can easily social distance, keep 2 meters away from everybody, rather than, in the city it's impossible to go out and for a walk and not be within 2 meters of somebody. Here it's immensely easy, and we've got enough food. We've got a shop out the back of us where we can get fresh fruit and veg, because I eat an awful lot of veg, absolute tons of fresh veg. And we've got a shop we can go to. And so not having to socialise and not having to, do all the normal stuff that causes me stress. And I've got all the lovely stuff. And it just feels so contradictory to be having such a great time during this time of difficulty for so many people. And I won't say I feel guilty, because there's no point, there's no point in feeling guilty. I'm not disadvantaging anybody by being where I am, but I just feel strongly the juxtaposition, and it's weird. The Easter weekend was lovely. Dave had 4 days off work, so he's working from home as he often does. So we basically had a load of family time. We did some gardening on Good Friday, and that was I used to grow seeds, and I had a lot of seeds left over. I didn't know I had that many seeds left over, and one of the girls said, "Can we grow some stuff from seed?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." But we didn't have any compost. But because of where we are and what we're doing, we just made do. So we've got lots of big pots out there that have had other stuff in them. So we just basically sieved that with a big garden sieve and made some more topsoil to use. And we used egg boxes. We get through a lot of eggs here. Egg boxes as planters, and all the little pots. We've got loads of little pots all over the place and trays, and we planted a whole load of seeds, mostly vegetables. I don't tend to grow anything that you can't eat. And I don't know if they're going to germinate. I don't know if the soil's good enough. I don't know if the seeds are too old. But we had a lovely time. We were outside, following all the rules, social distancing, everything. It was just the 5 of us in the garden. We had a lovely day, totally spontaneous. Lizzie, the eldest, decided to clear out the garage. The shed, which is a little lean-to building that we've got in the back of our garage, that we keep extra tins that can have storage of things in there, and tools and things we're not using. And she completely cleared it out, and it's so much easier to see what we've got now, which is perfect, because right now we do need to know what we've got and what we haven't. And it was a lovely, lovely day. And then on the Saturday we had planned to do acrylic pouring, which we did, and all four of us girls, females, did some pouring. Dave wasn't interested, and that was really, really good fun. And we'd also planned to have cocktails at lunchtime, just because, you know, when do you ever do that? And we did. We had a cocktail each at lunchtime, and then we kind of chilled out for the afternoon. And we played on the Wii, and it was lovely. And we went for a walk together, some of us. So yeah, it's been an absolutely amazing weekend for me, and yeah. So that's it for this week. I do have plans to start a brioche shawl. I can't remember the name of it, I'll put it up here. I have done brioche in plenty of projects, but I'm not confident with it. And the yarn shop, Yarn Etc., where I teach occasionally, would like a brioche class, but I'm just not confident enough. I haven't made enough mistakes. I can get through a project, but if I make a mistake, I can't take it back. I can't work out what I've done wrong and undo it, and undo the mistake. All I can do is just take out the whole thing, and that's no use whatsoever. So there's a project which has got 3 or 4 different kinds of brioche. I didn't even know there were, and one of them is 3-colour brioche. Didn't know that existed. So it's going to be quite a learning experience, but I'm going to start that fairly soon, I think. All jumpers, all making sweaters and cardies, all of that is off for now because I am currently losing weight. I told you about the ketogenic diet, which I'm doing in order to keep on top of a inflammatory skin condition that I have, and it's working really, really well. That is calming down. It wasn't until I had a naan bread a couple of weeks ago. It's calming back down again, and it's giving me the most amazing amount of energy, which is wonderful. But it's also helping me to lose weight, particularly around my belly. As this is an ongoing thing, I'm not going to stop. This isn't a short-term diet, as it were, as in the sense of, I'm going on a diet. It's a long-term lifestyle decision. So I'm actually slowly losing weight at the moment, so I can't start any jumpers because I don't want to make something that's now not going to be the right size for me. And blankets are off as well because my memory blanket is just perfect. And the Advent blanket is going to be bigger, and that's going to be wonderful too. It's going to be fleece lined too. And after that, I don't need any more blankets. So I was thinking, I was chatting away to Adriana on Instagram. Was it Adriana? I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was. I chatted to everybody about it. When I've got something on my mind, I chat to everybody about it, about different blankets and things I'm considering. And I was looking at options for using up sock yarn once I finished the Advent blanket. And then I just realised I don't actually need any more blankets, so I'm not going to do that. I just thought actually what I'll do is I'll keep them, the ones that are like 30 grams or 20 grams or more, I'll keep for shawls that have. I was considering the Painting Bricks shawl by Stephen West. Decided against it, I think, because of the massive long garter stitch rows, but that uses up small amounts, so I'll keep the 20 grams and more, maybe 30 grams more for that. But the smaller things could just go into my weaving stash because I love having a variety of different textures and sizes and weights of yarns. So that would be perfect. And I can also look at, I talked about when you've got a single, and we often ply it with either another spun single or with a thin thread. I can ply it with sock yarn. See how that looks. So I think that's what I'm going to do with my scraps from now on. Put them in weaves and use them in other ways. So I'm not going to start another scrap yarn project. Okay, I think I've whittled long enough. I wanted to say a quick hello to Jo. That's it. And I hope that you are closer to my experience of lockdown than to the worst going on out there. But I wish you all the best, everybody. Happy crafting. And have a look on Instagram for the next giveaway for the second of 4 skeins. And Gemma, get in touch about your skein. And take part in the lockdown Cal if you want to. I post a comment. Everything I've mentioned, link below, will take you across to Ravelry, which is where all the the links are. But if there's something that if you don't use Ravelry and you want to know a link, just comment. I see all the comments. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Happy crafting. I will see you next week.